Namaste, everyone. Welcome to the Pranic Healing Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about healing family root patterns. And our guest speaker is Christabel. Christabel is a professional pranic healer and energy mentor. Her distinctive approach, charisma, and methodology has attracted individuals from all around the globe seeking healing and guidance in the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, and financial aspects of life. You can elevate your life journey with Christabel's radiant energy and transformative guidance. Please welcome to the podcast, Christabel.
Hi, Jason. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course. Well, I think that was like the one of the best bios I've ever read. I felt like I was so into it reading it, your bio, Christabel. So that's really exciting because I think your radiant energy and transformative guidance for this episode is really going to help us because we're talking about healing family root patterns. So that's very exciting because I know that's a very deep topic, and a lot of people are curious about it. So, and of course, in pranic healing, we talk about healing, generational and inherited energy traumas or challenges, things like that. But we'll get into that. For the audience, Cristobal, we're all very curious because you have a very unique background and you started sort of very differently before coming into pranic healing. So, can you give us like a little brief story about your experience and how you came into pranic healing and what you were doing before and sort of what leading up to what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been a pranic healer for 12 years already. I became a pranic healer in 2022, no, 2012. In 2012, I took my first ever workshop. And I was using pranic healing just for myself. I was just not so active in pranic healing, right? I just took the workshops as curiosity. And then I went on with my college studies, then I did a master's, and I did a master's in climate change, which took me to a university where I was working as a research assistant. This was my 9 to 5 job. And it was actually beautiful. At that time, it was my goal. I just wanted to be a professor, a recognized scientist in some ways. I wanted to become a great researcher in the area of climate change. And so in 2020, I met my first ever dream building coach, and it was Marilac Mendoza. And pranic healers know her as Master Marilac Mendoza. We call her Master Marilac, right? And she was the first person who taught me to dream. She was the first person who taught me that I can dream beyond my circumstances. She started teaching me how to build dreams and how to manifest my dreams. And so I started using the techniques that she was teaching me to connect with my heart and with my higher soul and to find a purpose. Because I was doing climate change before, I was doing research, and I wanted to say I liked it. It was a very beautiful thing to do. I liked reading, I liked writing, I liked analyzing, I liked the data, I liked everything I was doing in my job. But when I started connecting with my higher soul, when I started following Master Marla's guidance, I started finding a bigger purpose, something that made me happier. I was feeling more expanded, and I was finding tools not only for me, but for my family. And that's how I decided I was going to quit my job. That's how I decided I wanted to quit my research assistant job and do pranic healing as a profession and coaching, energy mentoring full time every
Wow.
day. So I won't say it was like so easy. I was really afraid. I was really scared about jumping into this new career because it meant I needed to find a new identity for myself, build a new identity. But I did it, and I did it in 2022. So it's already been 2 years since I started building this business as an energy mentor and a professional pranic healer. It's been beautiful. My dreams just keep growing. My energy just keeps growing, and it's been such a beautiful process. I keep evolving. mm, I have bigger dreams now. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing to hear, Christabel, because I think when you were saying that, like, actually believing in your dreams and building it and manifesting it, it's almost feels it's so easy to say, right, for a lot of us, but it in reality, it can be harder without the right tools and techniques. And like you said, you came from a very different background, like a research oriented climate change, research background.
Mm,
So it's almost again, it like you said, you took that leap of faith, but with the help of Master Marilag Mendoza, who is one of the 8 master pranic healers in the world, and she teaches about this and different techniques. And I'm so excited to hear that your dreams are still expanding, right? You're still growing and evolving, even though you're helping other people do that exact same thing. So that's really an amazing story on how you kind of got into this, and specifically, I think what I'm curious about is when you practice techniques, right? You sounded like you were, of course, like everyone, we're scared to make that big jump, right? And it's been 2 years for you. What helped you kind of not only make that commitment, but trust to make that jump? Because a lot of people are on that same boat, right? Deciding whether to make this jump or not.
yeah. So I think there were several tools that were helping me, but I think the main one, it's like beyond the tool, is that I have a purpose and I have a vision. So I've been just connecting to this purpose. And one of the difficult things is normally money. It's like, okay, if I do this, where is the money going to come from? Am I really going to have the clients? But because I have a purpose and because I have a vision, I do believe that if my higher soul keeps telling me to do this, it's also going to give me the tools. It's also going to give me the means. So as I connect with my purpose and as I stick to my vision, things just continue to happen and I continue to grow. So sometimes I get distracted and I get nervous and I
Same here.
have fear.
Yep.
Yeah, and I started worrying. But I just have to be so strong. And what's helped me is also developing my emotional strength, my mental strength. So I feel like that this is
Mm,
my purpose. But my higher soul is guiding me, is telling me.
right.
And then a few weeks later, a few days later, things start happening, right? It's just, I
Wow.
just continue putting action in what my vision is. And
Excellent.
I don't stop it. Like I don't disconnect from my vision. And yes, I could get nervous, I could get worried, but the more I stick to my vision, the more I can see how the path gets clearer and clearer. See?
Oh, sorry, Christabel. I think my internet went out, but I'll edit that part out. Sometimes
Yeah.
that'll happen, so don't worry. We can edit this. Okay. But I still have your part. Okay. Okay. So thank you for sharing that, Christabel. I love how you said you don't disconnect from your vision, right? Because you trust that you have a higher purpose that comes from your higher soul. And again, in pranic healing, we always say, right, trust. And when you're trusting and connected to your higher self, things will flow to you. Things will come to you a lot easier. And it sounds like that's what happened to you, which is awesome because again, a lot of people are on the same boat right there, deciding whether or not to take this leap of faith, to follow their passion, to follow their purpose. But it's always so nice to hear from a person that's done it and done it for, successfully in 2 years in now to see the amazing change that you've done,
Yeah,
you've gone through.
Jason. And I learned how to do this from Master Marilac herself. And Master
Yeah.
Marilac Mendoza is like one of the most important figures in this area of energy, of dream
Mm-hmm.
building, connecting with your purpose, connecting with your higher soul. She's a master prank killer. So for me, it's been like, if she said so, I will do it. If she's the one who helped me do it, I will trust. I just have to trust because I
Yeah.
don't have evidence. All I have to do is create evidence in my life, right? So
Right.
it's been beautiful. Like the more evidence I create, the more I trust, the bigger my dreams are. And I don't have the evidence that those big dreams will come true for me. But because some other dreams have already come true, I just trust.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump into our topic because I think the big dreams for a lot of people is to heal their family roots patterns. So, Cristobal, can you help us understand what does that mean? What is the areas of knowledge in healing family patterns and the roots of it all? Because we've heard about generational karma, with family and things like that, but not all of us understand. So, can you help us understand that and what the concepts are?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So, so in this process of creating my dreams life, in this process of healing my own life, and now in this process of creating this business, I also wanted to heal my family because I could see that in my family there were several, I would say, some patterns that maybe I'm not ready to mention them now, but I can say these patterns were in the emotional and mental health levels. And I wanted to heal my family so badly. Like I was like kind of obsessed with this. I wanted to have a better family dynamics. And I wanted my family structure to be happier, more harmonious, to have forgiveness, peace, love, all of this that we want for a family, right? We want to be a family. And so I already had tools that actually my mentor, Master Malak, had given me. And I started looking for where else are people talking about this? And what are people saying about this? What are people saying about healing our roots, healing our family patterns? And so there were several areas, there were so many disciplines that talk about this, but there were three that I will mention now that kind of stick in my mind. And so one of them was the knowledge about epigenetics. And I cannot go into detail about this because this is not my area of expertise, but I was just reading enough as to understand what the epigenetics concept is. And so
Mm,
basically they said that the experiences that our ancestors, that our relatives who lived before us went through can be activated in our DNA because there are marks that they left years ago. So this could affect our health, our well-being in different areas. So according to this area of knowledge, what I could understand is the events in our environment could leave like a mark in your DNA. And these marks can be transmitted through generations. I was very curious about this. And then as I was reading more and as I was like trying to understand more, I got into these studies about behavioral studies. And they also mentioned that there is like an energetic transmission by emulation. So they would say that we take what we see in our environment and we start to emulate this because that's what we see, that's what we learn, that's what our brain starts understanding. Our nervous system memorizes this. And as we start imitating what we see in our environment, as we start emulating this so many times, it becomes something of our own. We start believing this is true, this is us. And so that was so interesting. Like, okay, so I'm just emulating my parents, my grandparents. This is not me. I just started believing this is me because I was emulating this so many times. So I got so curious about this. And then there was this other area, so epigenetics, behavioral studies, which is actually the spiritual point of view. And here there is like this huge controversial topic about karma. And we could talk so much about karma, but there's not enough time for this podcast. That could be a whole other topic. But basically, I will say karma is the law of cause and effect. So we reap what we sow, right? And in this area of knowledge, it is believed that the actions, the thoughts, the words, the emotions of our ancestors have consequences in their offspring, have
mm,
consequences in their children and grandchildren. So we can say it's been centuries of thoughts, emotions, actions that have consequences in our lives now and in the
mm,
lives of our family. And so when I started seeing all these areas, there was one common denominator, right? And the common denominator was a lot of who we are, a lot of what we are experiencing now, we inherited this. A lot of this we just brought this from our parents. We just brought this from our grandparents, great grandparents. And with this realization, it was much easier to heal,
Yeah.
right? Because I stopped identifying with these patterns. I just started understanding, oh, I have these marks in my DNA. Oh, I saw this behavior. I've been emulating this. Okay, I inherited these words, thoughts, actions, emotions. I don't want this anymore. Just as I inherited this, now I don't want to accept what's not good for me. I will just take what's good for me. And that's how I started doing a lot of work for healing family patterns, for healing the roots of these dysfunctional patterns. We keep the good ones, we just heal the dysfunctional patterns.
Wow. You know, it kind of reminds me because, again, you started off, Christabel, and thank you for sharing that because I think a lot of people misunderstand or not misunderstand, but there's a lot of different ways you can interpret karma and generational karma, and what you mentioned also about these patterns. And I find that pranic healing really ties it well together because just like you mentioned epigenetics and genetics in general, right? Not only do you inherit the physical traits, the qualities from your parents, from your grandparents, right? But also these emotional tendencies, these belief systems, thought patterns, right? The way that you act. And it's so nice that you mentioned those three kind of areas, right? You mentioned epigenetics, emulating the environment, which was the second one, right? And then what was the third one again?
Just the spiritual knowledge about
This
karma.
the spiritual knowledge. Okay, the spiritual knowledge about karma. Yes. Sometimes I talk about that so much that I just forget that it's actually a key topic. But yeah, those three really help us understand the next forward, um, in terms of healing this, right? So when we understand these concepts, how do we help or address, how does it work to be healing these family patterns, right? These root patterns that, like you said, we didn't have a choice, but we have it. We might be acting a certain way or believing certain things or emotions and thoughts. And even with our parents and our siblings, how does that work? How does the healing work?
Yeah, yeah. So just as you said, we didn't have a choice, but now we do. Now we do a choice. We do have a choice. And now we have the choice to heal, right? This is like we have the choice either we want to heal or we just want to continue living as we are. And so, how it works? So we as pranic healers, I as a pranic healer have energetic tools to be able to. It's so easy like this. You just have to erase what was created in the energy field and then put a new mark there. As I said in epigenetics, they talk about activating marks from our DNA, right? So let's just change those marks. Using energy techniques, let us erase what was what was left there, and let us create a new mark with new energy. Let us program our DNA with new energy, with new patterns. If we talk about behavior, also this behavior has created a form of energy that keep us we keep acting in some ways because of these big energy forms that we have created right from what we saw. So let us just erase those forms, let us just erase this energy, and let us start creating new energy forms.
Mm.
And then if we talk about karma, there is so many tools, but there's two tools really important that we have learned in pranic healing and that we have to integrate in our lives, and that's always generosity with our money and generosity with our time. We call it tithing and service. And so there is ways to use these tools, the tithing and the service, to also heal family patterns. But that's a whole science, that's a whole module in my program.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then what I do normally with my clients is in the first session, we recognize what are the patterns. we are able to see what are the patterns. And that's actually easy. That requires some awareness, but that's not so difficult. Once you have the awareness and once you have the right questions, you're able to see, wow, this is a pattern in my family. And there is so many examples of patterns. We could say in a family, two or more people are struggling with finances. Maybe three people in the same family are struggling with their emotional health, or there is a mental problem, or maybe there is a cancer or diabetes. And you feel like everyone in my family has this problem, right? We normally repeat, like, oh, that's normal in my family. Everyone has this problem. Nobody finds a job. Everyone suffers from X illness, I don't know, cancer, diabetes. So it's easy to recognize the patterns. And once we have recognized them, then I start working using the energy tools I have to erase those patterns and to create a new mark. But
Yeah.
I don't do it alone. I help my clients do it too. I do the healing, I do the energy healing, but I guide them through meditations, prayers, mantras. I guide them through connecting with your heart, through forgiveness, which is so important. I guide them through this process. So every week they have homework to do. So it's not me fixing them, it's them committed to really healing their family dynamics,
Mm.
establishing a new mark in their family.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great way to describe it, because I always look at things from a science, right? And pranic healing is a science of energy healing. And, just like you mentioned with like DNA, right? How there's different aspects or marks, right? And how there's these imprints. And just as these imprints can genetically express themselves, we want to be sure and take out the ones that may be not so helpful for us, certain patterns, belief systems, thoughts within ourselves or within our family. And like you said, pranic healing is such a simple and effective tool, right? With the cleansing, removing parts, but as well as the other things that you mentioned, like meditation, prayer. And it sounds like you are, the energy mentor, like a coach that helps them guide them through this process. And I think it's really important with the first session, like you said, is to identify the patterns first, because I think a lot of people might know what's going on, but also might not know with these family patterns. Because when you've had something, and I know for myself, because I'm working on this too, certain patterns you've had since you were young, it's almost like you can't even see it. It's like a blind spot, right? Because you've had it for so long, it feels like it's a part of you, right? So how do you help clients identify, maybe patterns that they don't even know they have that might be a blind spot, but you're the one coaching and mentoring them through this process?
Okay, so that's so easy. And what you said, it's so true. Like we just keep emulating it, right? And that was
Yes.
one of the areas of study that I mentioned in the beginning. You have emulated something for so long, so many times that just became a part of you. And you don't even know that's just a part of you. For you, it became you, right? It's like,
Mm,
this is
yes.
me. This is not even a part of me. So it's so interesting. And it's so easy. The way I do it, it's like just think we connect with our heart for a moment, we close our eyes, we're in like kind of like a meditative state but in our bodies, and start observing what's an area of discontent in my life. Okay, in the area of finances, for example, what's my discontent in this area? Maybe let us, this is just an example, let us say my discontent in the area of finances is that I don't have a job and I'm not able to really make what I need to get by the end of the month to
Mm-hmm,
pay my
mm-hmm,
bill.
mm-hmm.
Okay, good. This is the area of discontent. Is there
Yeah.
anyone in your family, anyone else in your family who has the same discontent in this area of your life? Oh yeah, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins. It seems like all of us are always struggling. Okay, there you are. It's a family pattern. If no one in your family ever had this discontent, if it's only you, then we're not talking about a family pattern. We're talking about maybe an individual pattern. But if there is more people in your family who are going through the same situation and who keep to repeat it again and again, or for example, in the area of health, how is your health? oh, I'm good,
Mm,
then okay, but no, and I had this specific client who came for healing. She didn't have the pattern, but she wanted healing for her family. And so she could see in her family, let's say, as an example, a physical illness, right? Like, let us say diabetes. No, I don't have diabetes, but I don't want to see my children, my mom, my cousins. I don't want to see my family suffer with this illness. Even though I don't have it, there is a lot of people in my family who have it. Then we're talking about the family pattern. This is
mm,
about family patterns, not individual patterns. And so once they have recognized it, once they can observe this, once they accept this is a family pattern, then we can start the process. Then we can
mm.
start the healing.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting, Christabel, to kind of see it in all these different perspectives, right? Because sometimes, when you look at a topic like this, oh, you think it's just very straightforward, right? But like you said, it could be starting with the family first and then identifying it for yourself. It could be maybe you don't have health issues, right? But it could be looking through that lens of health issues to see certain patterns, and especially with the patterns of, of course, prosperity and worthiness. I feel like a lot of us have generational thought forms, belief systems around that as well. And I think that what we're ultimately getting at, right, is to, like how you started your story, really removing these patterns to live your soul filled purpose life, right, to be who you are, right. And just how I started this conversation, sometimes you don't even know who you are, that you don't even know that this is not supposed to be a part of you until you have this reflection, right, with a mentor coach like yourself or someone else to see this. And Christabel, to kind of help us, how have you seen certain clients be transformed doing this? Like, they started one way, and after doing this healing process, right, healing the family patterns, they've completely changed. Do you have any like examples for us? Anyone that comes to mind in showing us this transformation?
Yeah. I have so many examples. So I will give you two examples in two different areas, or maybe more. I will see. But so one of my clients, she came because she had like an ear problem. She couldn't hear. So to give you an idea, when you watched TV, she had to put the volume in like the maximum level, 100. And as we started the healing, it was improving her ear. But why were we doing this was a pattern because her mother also had this ear problem
Mm,
and hearing problem, and someone else in her family had the same hearing problem. So uh, I didn't only work generational healing, I did also some advanced healing techniques,
sure.
but the program I was using for her to mentor her was the generational healing program, the healing family patterns program. And by the end of the program, she was able to watch TV and the volume was in level 30, 30, 30.
Very. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's amazing change. Like, how did she go from 100 to 30? But look, she came with this problem. She wanted to heal from her ear. She wanted to hear better. But what happened was amazing. She established a better relationship with her son. She established a better relationship with her mother. She kind of found purpose. Like somehow she was able to connect with her higher soul. She was able to see a purpose for her life. And I remember her saying, like, I don't have words to describe what this
Mm,
meant for me. And it's like it doesn't even we can't even put a price to this. Like her words, her happiness was beyond being able to hear better. It
mm.
was better relationship, more money. I don't even know where the money was coming from her. Like all of a
Wow.
sudden, she had an extra money that she got. It was so beautiful. And with me, it was 3 months because the program is normally 3 months. But because I gave her tools, I gave her meditations, prayers, she continues the process. So she can be consistent with her own healing. And then there was this other student, not student, like client, And I love to tell her story because she's the one who wanted to heal her family. She didn't come for her own healing. She didn't feel like, I don't know if I need help, but I can see my family needs help. So can you help me? I want to heal these family patterns. I said, like, of course, we can work together. And I remember her words, not at the end, like maybe 1 month later. Her words were like, haven't felt this happiness in so long. I remember feeling happy when I was a kid and maybe when I was a teenager. Now she's like 55, I think, or 57. I don't remember exactly. And just like, and then I never felt this happiness again. And the happiness is back to me. The happiness is back in my life. And for me, that was even bigger than healing any pattern. Being able to feel the happiness again. Because if G is in this happiness energy, in this happiness frequency, oh, it will be able to manifest healing for herself and for her family, because that's one of the highest frequencies.
Mm.
So for me, it was like, we are done, right? Of course, we continued because we needed to finish the program. But the fact that she was able to integrate happiness in her life again, wow. And then I have had so many other. Like I have another who
Sure.
said, like you just took something I had on my back. It's like it's gone. Now I can continue and I feel free. I feel like I have forgiven. She had anger problems and her family were having anger problems. All of them, her kids, everyone having anger problems. So it was like it's like a big bundle was taken off my shoulders. I don't know how to say this in English. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like taking a weight off, right? Like you said, like sometimes it's like we're carrying all these heavy rocks and stuff that don't serve us, and
exactly.
then when you take it off, it's like, oh wow, it's so much nicer not to carry all this around.
Yeah,
So
and then she can see the change in her son, not so much.
yeah,
And then she had all these kind of problems with her parents and with her siblings. And all of a sudden, her brother started calling her. They had a beautiful Christmas in 2023.
wow,
They had this beautiful family reunion. She's able to talk with her parents again. And the
yeah,
most beautiful is she's able to see them, right?
yeah,
Like, not, she doesn't have to be fighting and reacting. So there is so many results, right? They go from healing your emotions. They can see the healing in their physical body. They can see how the family dynamics start changing. And I will tell you my own results. In my family, it's been so beautiful. I started this when I committed to healing these family patterns in my own family. Committed to do this for a whole year. And I did this. I won't say I did it every day because I didn't, but I did it very often. Like some days I did it for 21 days straight. Some other times I did it every other day. Sometimes I did it only twice a week, but I was consistent during the year. Like I would say this month, 21 days straight. Next month, and I had all the knowledge as well, beyond the energy technique per se. And as soon as I started, I could see that there were some changes. Then later on, we started having better communication. Then later on, I can feel like there is peace when I meet with the rest of my family. I
mm,
can see the family is more harmonious.
mm,
And then we can talk. There's more communication, peaceful communication. And then all of a sudden, we were having reunions, we were having meetings, we were going out, right? And then I can see how my sisters are feeling better in their emotions, in their mental health. And then the prosperity. And then I see my sisters get into their dreams, right? And I'm like, what's happening? So I kept doing the healing and I kept doing everything I was doing. And we had the most beautiful Christmas. And I know this could sound common, but if you had a dysfunctional family, if you can see dysfunctional patterns, being able to have a Christmas where you're able to communicate, to love, to feel the peace, the harmony, the forgiveness, the union,
mm,
that's an amazing result. That's like I thought we would never be able to do it again,
yeah.
right? In the past. Like I thought this didn't exist anymore for us. And that's where I was focused. I wanted better dynamics in my family system. And I did everything I learned and everything I was teaching my students.
Mm.
I wanted to be the product of what I sell, of what I do, of what I teach. And I did all of this. I was so committed the whole 2023. And then I will say I started creating my program maybe around July or August when I had already see some results. When I had already see some results, yeah. And then later I started selling my program and I had already seen the results. And
Mm.
I even made a post in Instagram and I said, this Christmas is the result of a deep, profound healing process.
Wow. Again, practice what you preach, right? And I'm so happy to hear that you use your family and your process as the example to build your business and to further show your clients. It really is almost priceless, right? To see, because a lot of times we think about healing ourselves, right? Making ourselves better or making one other person better, through healing. But when we talk about healing these family root patterns, it's like everyone gets better. And like you said, you're visiting them more. You're financially, things are happening too, and it sounds like it's just like a dam opening up, right? We've had these patterns for so long, and when you remove these obstacles, right? I think life just flows, right? The energy just flows. Same thing in pranic healing, right? When you remove something that's not supposed to be there, the system is back in harmony. And I'd love to hear, I hear the excitement in your voice, and especially working with your clients too and telling about their stories. It's such an amazing transformation that I think that a lot of people can benefit from, you know, not only learning more, but actually going through the process, like you mentioned, through your 3 month program, because sometimes it does take that much time, or sometimes it doesn't for some of your clients, right? So that's really exciting, Cristobal, and I definitely learned a lot of different things, especially related not only to your work but in general related to this topic, because we talked about it, right? Because on this podcast, I try to make everything very science based, very easy to understand, and I think that talking about the epigenetics, talking about your environment and emulating that, and also talking about karma, I think it ties everything in very well together. So again, wonderful conversation, Cristobal. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And as a tradition on this podcast, if someone were to come up to you, right, and they were looking for a generational family healing, but they weren't sure about it, like they're not so sure, they heard it might work, or some friends or family, they have some questions. What is some one piece of advice you would give them to help them out?
Oh, I would say just try. If you are not sure about this, how would you know if it works? We can just tell you as many times and you can hear as many people, but if you don't try it, then you won't know. If there is something in you telling you to go through this process, to do this, if there's something in you, if you like if it's like this kind of intuition that you must try it, then try. It's probably the higher soul telling
Yeah.
you that this is the way, and that's how you will know.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just have to, again, Master Cho's system, right? You can't believe in things blindly, but until you test it and try it and experience it for yourself, like you've
yeah,
done for yourself and your wonderful family and your clients, I think that's the best way to make people, trust the process, as we will.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Cristobal. It's been, again, such a wonderful opportunity to talk to you on such a deep level about your amazing journey. Again, coming from the science world as a climate change research analyst, and then doing so many different wonderful things in that area, but also kind of jumping to your purpose and your passion and helping so many people out, whether it's with manifestation or also healing these family root patterns. It's really so inspiring to hear your story. And I think that your story helped a lot of people today. So thank you so much again, Christabel. And for anyone out there who is interested in working with Christabel or has any questions, I will leave her links down below so you can get in touch with Christabel. And then, yes, so that's it for today's podcast. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for listening. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review and subscribe to our channel, as it helps build the community in spreading the teachings of pranic healing. So thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode.